10 strange laws in Singapore that will surprise you. Strange law number 1. No chewing gum, no problems. You heard that right, gum chewers. In 1992, Singapore decided to take a stand against sticky sidewalks and elevator buttons by banning the sale and import of chewing gum. The ban was inspired by the country's desire to maintain its pristine public spaces, as road gum was becoming an urban nightmare. The ban wasn't a random decision. It came after the mass rapid transit system had to deal with gum being stuck on doors, causing delays and repairs that annoyed pretty much everyone. It's not just about litter, though. The government argued that gum was a public health hazard, with people accidentally stepping on it or getting it stuck on their clothes. To maintain the image of Singapore as a clean and green city, gum had to go. If you're caught importing, selling, or even possessing large amounts of chewing gum, expect a fine of up to SGD 100,000 or even a year in jail. That's one expensive habit. Of course, medical gum, like nicotine gum for those trying to quit smoking, is allowed. But you'd better have a prescription handy to prove your need, or that medication could land you in hot water. The ban was slightly relaxed in 2004, allowing the sale of certain types of gum in pharmacies. But don't get too excited. It's still strictly controlled, and the temptation to bubble up could burst your wallet. Despite international criticism, particularly from the US during trade negotiations, Singapore stood firm on its no-gum stance, showcasing the country's commitment to cleanliness and order. The ban might sound extreme, but the results are clear. Singapore is one of the cleanest cities in the world, with gleaming streets and spotless public transport. You can thank the lack of gum for that. Tourists often find the law amusing, but it's a quick reminder that when in Singapore, respect for public cleanliness isn't just appreciated, it's enforced with the full weight of the law. So, if you're planning a trip to Singapore, leave the chewing gum at home and instead enjoy the city's many other delights, like kaya toast, which is completely legal and just as addictive. Strange law number 2. Watch your step, no jaywalking. If you're the type who likes to dodge traffic and play a real-life version of Frogger, Singapore is not the place to do it. Jaywalking is taken very seriously here, with strict penalties for those who cross the street at undesignated spots. The origins of this law date back to Singapore's rapid urbanization in the 1960s, when the government sought to impose order on its bustling streets to prevent accidents and keep the city moving smoothly. Fines for jaywalking can be as high as SGD 1,000, and repeat offenders could even face a jail sentence. Yes, you read that right. A night in the slammer for crossing the road where you shouldn't. Singapore's road network is meticulously planned, with pedestrian crossings, underpasses, and bridges ensuring safe passage for everyone. The government's strict enforcement of jaywalking laws is part of a broader strategy to promote road safety. Traffic police and surveillance cameras are ever watchful, so even if you're tempted to dash across a quiet street, it's better to walk the extra few meters to the crossing. This law isn't just about preventing accidents. It's also about instilling discipline in citizens and ensuring that everyone plays their part in keeping the city orderly. Some might find it overly strict, but Singapore's low pedestrian fatality rate speaks for itself. This law has helped to save countless lives and maintain the city's reputation for efficiency. Tourists often get caught off guard by this law, but ignorance is no excuse. Signs are posted everywhere, reminding people to use designated crossings, so pay attention, or you might find yourself lighter in the wallet. The law also reflects Singapore's broader approach to governance. Everything is carefully planned and regulated to ensure public safety and order, even when it comes to something as simple as crossing the street. So, when in Singapore, follow the rules, use the crossings, and enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're in one of the safest cities in the world. Strange law number 3. Toilets. Flush or face the music. In Singapore, public cleanliness isn't just about gum-free streets. It extends to the restrooms too. Forgetting to flush a public toilet here can land you with a fine of up to SGD 150. Yes, it's true. Flush or face the consequences. This law was introduced as part of a broader effort to keep public spaces clean and hygienic. Singapore's government believed that a simple act like flushing could prevent the spread of disease and maintain the city's spotless reputation. The no-flush policy isn't just a suggestion. Plainclothes officers and attendants might be lurking nearby, ready to catch offenders in the act. These public health enforcers take their job seriously, and they're not afraid to issue fines on the spot. The policy was especially emphasized in the late 1990s when the government launched a series of public campaigns to improve hygiene in public restrooms, which were often found to be in less than ideal conditions. Flushing is part of a broader set of rules aimed at promoting good public hygiene, which also includes fines for littering and spitting. All of these laws are designed to ensure that everyone contributes to the cleanliness of public spaces. Singapore's strict enforcement has led to cleaner public restrooms that are the envy of many other cities. If you've ever dreaded using a public toilet, you'll appreciate Singapore's commitment to cleanliness. The law also encourages a sense of civic responsibility, reminding people that their actions, however small, have a direct impact on the community. It's not just about avoiding a fine, it's about being a good citizen. While some might find it overbearing, the results speak for themselves. Singapore's public restrooms are among the cleanest in the world, and visitors often remark on the high standards of hygiene they encounter. This law is another example of how Singapore balances personal freedom with social responsibility, ensuring that public spaces remain clean, pleasant, and safe for everyone to use. So, when nature calls in Singapore, just remember, your responsibility doesn't end until you've hit that flush button. It's a small action that goes a long way in keeping the city's reputation sparkling clean. Strange law number 4. No singing in public after sunset. If you're in Singapore and suddenly feel the urge to belt out your favorite song while walking down the street at night, you might want to think twice. Singing in public after sunset can get you into trouble here. This law is rooted in Singapore's commitment to maintaining public order and peace, especially during the evening hours when people are returning home and seeking a quiet environment. The law isn't just about curbing noise pollution, it's also about respecting the tranquility of neighborhoods. Singaporeans value their peace and quiet, and the government has enacted this law to ensure that everyone can enjoy a restful evening. The rule applies to public places like streets, parks, and other outdoor areas, and is part of a broader set of laws aimed at minimizing disturbances and maintaining social harmony. Violators can face fines, or even be asked to leave the area if they're caught singing loudly in public after dark. The law is especially strict in residential areas, where noise can easily disturb the peace. Singapore's noise regulations are among the strictest in the world, with laws governing everything from construction noise to loud music in public spaces. This particular law is just one part of a larger effort to keep the city serene. The law might seem strange to outsiders, especially in a world where public performances and street musicians are common, but in Singapore, maintaining peace and quiet is a top priority. This law reflects Singapore's broader cultural values, where social harmony and respect for others are highly prized. It's a reminder that in this city, your actions should never disrupt the lives of others. So, if you're feeling musical in Singapore, save your serenades for the shower or a karaoke bar. Just make sure it's before the sun goes down. Ultimately, this law is about balance. Enjoy yourself, but be mindful of the people around you. It's a small price to pay for living in one of the world's most peaceful and orderly cities. Strange law number 5. Feeding pigeons? Prepare to pay up. If you've ever enjoyed tossing crumbs to birds in the park, Singapore's laws might come as a shock. Feeding pigeons is strictly prohibited here, and doing so could land you a fine of up to SGD 500. This law was introduced to combat the growing pigeon population in urban areas, which was becoming a nuisance. Pigeons, while seemingly harmless, can spread diseases and create unsanitary conditions with their droppings. The government's stance is that feeding pigeons encourages them to congregate in large numbers, which can lead to health and hygiene issues. By cutting off their food supply, Singapore aims to control the pigeon population and maintain cleanliness. The law is part of a broader set of regulations aimed at controlling wildlife in urban areas. Feeding stray animals, in general, is discouraged, as it can lead to overpopulation and related issues. The fine isn't just about punishing the act of feeding pigeons. It's about educating the public on the importance of not interfering with the natural ecosystem. The government often runs campaigns to raise awareness about this issue. Singapore's approach is strict but effective. The city has seen a significant reduction in pigeon-related problems since the law was enforced, leading to cleaner streets and healthier urban environments. Tourists often find this law surprising, especially if they come from places where feeding birds is a common pastime. But in Singapore, it's all about maintaining order and preventing public health hazards. The law also reflects Singapore's broader environmental policies, which emphasize sustainability and responsible interaction with wildlife. It's not just about pigeons, it's about creating a balanced and healthy urban ecosystem. So, while it might be tempting to share your sandwich with a hungry pigeon, remember that in Singapore, a kind gesture could lead to an unexpected fine. This law serves as a reminder that in Singapore, even the smallest actions have consequences. It's all part of the city's meticulous approach to governance, where every detail is considered in the pursuit of a clean and orderly society. Strange law number 6. No spitting, no kidding. Spitting in public is not just frowned upon in Singapore, it's outright illegal. If you're caught, you could be fined up to SGD 1,000, and repeat offenders might even face stiffer penalties. This law dates back to the early days of Singapore's development, when public health was a major concern. The government introduced the spitting ban as part of a broader effort to curb the spread of diseases like tuberculosis, which was rampant at the time. The law is part of Singapore's strict public hygiene regulations, which also include bans on littering and urinating in public. The goal is to maintain a clean and healthy environment for everyone. Spitting isn't just unsanitary, it's also seen as disrespectful and uncivilized behavior. Singapore's government believes that such actions have no place in a modern, developed society. The enforcement of this law is no joke. Plainclothes officers and surveillance cameras are often on the lookout for offenders, ready to issue fines on the spot. It's all part of the government's commitment to keeping the city clean. The law applies to all public spaces, including streets, parks, and even public transport. Spitting in these areas is considered a serious offense and is treated accordingly. While the law might seem harsh to some, it has been highly effective. Singapore's streets are some of the cleanest in the world, and the city's public health standards are exemplary. The spitting ban is also about promoting good manners and respect for others. In a city where space is limited and people live in close quarters, such actions can have a big impact on the quality of life. Visitors to Singapore often remark on the cleanliness of the city, and the spitting ban is a big part of why the city is so spotless. It's a small but important piece of the puzzle that makes Singapore what it is. So, if you're in Singapore and feel the need to spit, resist the urge. Your wallet and the city's cleanliness will thank you. It's just one more way that Singapore keeps itself looking and feeling fresh. Strange law number 7. No connecting to unauthorized Wi-Fi. Singapore takes cybersecurity very seriously, and this extends to something as seemingly harmless as connecting to an open Wi-Fi network. If you're caught piggybacking on someone else's Wi-Fi without permission, you could face a hefty fine or even jail time. This law is rooted in Singapore's strict regulations around data security and privacy. The government views unauthorized access to Wi-Fi networks as a form of hacking, even if the network isn't password protected. The Computer Misuse and Cybersecurity Act, under which this law falls, was introduced in the late 1990s and has been updated several times to keep pace with evolving technology. The law covers a wide range of cyber offenses, including unauthorized access to networks. Penalties for violating this law can be severe, with fines of up to SGD 10,000 or up to 3 years in jail. The government wants to send a clear message that cybersecurity is no laughing matter in Singapore. The law is also about protecting the rights of individuals and businesses. Unauthorized access to a Wi-Fi network can lead to data breaches, financial losses, and other serious consequences. Singapore's government encourages residents and visitors to use only authorized Wi-Fi networks and to be cautious about their online activities. Public Wi-Fi is available in many places, but users are expected to follow the rules. The law reflects Singapore's broader approach to technology and governance, where strict regulations are in place to protect citizens and ensure the smooth functioning of society. While it might seem extreme to some, the law is part of Singapore's commitment to being a global leader in cybersecurity. The country is home to many tech companies and startups, and maintaining a secure digital environment is a top priority. Tourists often find this law surprising, especially in an age where free Wi-Fi is available almost everywhere. But in Singapore, it's about balancing convenience with security. So, the next time you're tempted to hop onto a free Wi-Fi network in Singapore, think twice. It might save you a lot of trouble, and possibly a trip to court. Better safe than sorry, especially in a country that takes its laws so seriously. Strange law number 8. No nudity at home, please. Singapore's laws on decency extend all the way into your home. Walking around your house in the buff. Think again. If someone catches a glimpse and reports you, you could be fined or even face jail time for public nudity. This law falls under Singapore's broader regulations on public decency, which are designed to maintain moral standards and protect the public from offensive behavior. The law is enforced even if the nudity occurs in private spaces, like your own home, but is visible to the public. For example, if you're standing by a window in the nude and someone sees you from the street, you could be in trouble. Singapore's government believes that such actions, even in private, can have a negative impact on social values and public morality. The law is designed to prevent any form of indecent exposure, regardless of the circumstances. The penalties for violating this law can be quite severe, with fines of up to SGD 2,000 or up to 3 months in jail. The government takes this issue seriously and expects residents to do the same. This law is part of Singapore's broader approach to maintaining social order and harmony. The government believes that upholding certain moral standards is essential for the well-being of society as a whole. While the law might seem invasive to some, it's important to remember that Singapore places a high value on community standards and the collective good. This law is just one example of how the government seeks to protect those values. Tourists and expatriates are often surprised by this law, especially if they come from countries with more relaxed attitudes toward nudity. But in Singapore, modesty is highly prized, even in the privacy of your own home. The law is also a reminder that in Singapore, personal freedom is often balanced with social responsibility. Your actions, even in private, can have public consequences, and the government expects everyone to be mindful of that. So, if you're in Singapore, it's best to keep the curtains drawn and your clothes on, even when you're at home. It's just one more way that Singapore ensures a decent and orderly society. Strange law number 9. No littering, not even a cigarette butt. Singapore's war on littering is legendary. Drop a piece of trash, even something as small as a cigarette butt, and you could face a fine of up to SGD 1,000 for a first offense. Repeat offenders? They could be looking at community service or even jail time. This law was introduced in the 1960s as part of Singapore's Clean and Green campaign, which sought to transform the city into a model of cleanliness and environmental stewardship. The government's approach to littering is no nonsense. Enforcement officers regularly patrol public areas, and surveillance cameras are in place to catch offenders. The message is clear: littering will not be tolerated. The law applies to all public spaces including streets, parks, beaches, and even public transport. Whether it's a candy wrapper or a cigarette butt, if you drop it, you'll pay the price. Repeat offenders face even harsher penalties, including mandatory community service under the Corrective Work Order (CWO) scheme, where they are required to clean public areas while wearing a bright vest. It's a public shaming tactic that's proven highly effective. Singapore's strict littering laws have had a dramatic impact. The city is renowned for its cleanliness, and litter is a rare sight in public spaces. The law has helped to create a culture of responsibility and respect for the environment. The law is also part of Singapore's broader environmental policies, which emphasize sustainability and conservation. The government believes that a clean environment is essential for the well-being of its citizens and the country's global image. Visitors to Singapore are often surprised by the strictness of the law, but most quickly come to appreciate the pristine streets and public spaces. The law is a key reason why Singapore is considered one of the cleanest cities in the world. The littering ban is also about instilling good habits. Singapore's government believes that by enforcing these laws, they are teaching people the importance of taking care of their surroundings and being responsible citizens. So, if you're in Singapore, be mindful of where you dispose of your trash. It's a small effort that goes a long way in maintaining the city's spotless reputation, and it might save you a hefty fine. Strange law number 10. Smoking? Not here, not there, not anywhere. Smoking in Singapore is heavily regulated, and the list of places where you can light up is shrinking every year. From parks to bus stops to entire neighborhoods, the city has designated more and more areas as smoke-free zones. This law is part of Singapore's broader effort to promote public health and reduce the harmful effects of secondhand smoke. The government has been gradually expanding the list of no-smoking areas since the 1970s. Smokers caught lighting up in prohibited areas can face fines of up to SGD 1,000, and repeat offenders could see even harsher penalties, including mandatory smoking cessation programs. The law applies to a wide range of public spaces, including shopping malls, entertainment venues, and even some residential areas. The goal is to create a smoke-free environment where everyone can breathe clean air. Singapore's government has also introduced smoking bans in parks, nature reserves, and beaches, making it clear that smoking is not welcome in places where people go to enjoy the outdoors. The law is enforced with the help of surveillance cameras and enforcement officers who patrol public areas. The government's message is clear. Smoking is a privilege, not a right, and it will be tightly controlled. Singapore's strict smoking laws have led to a significant reduction in smoking rates, and the city now boasts some of the lowest smoking rates in the world. The law has also helped to reduce litter, as cigarette butts are a major source of pollution. Tourists and expatriates often find Singapore's smoking laws to be among the strictest they've encountered, but most quickly adapt to the rules and appreciate the clean, smoke-free environment. The law is also part of Singapore's broader health policies, which emphasize prevention and early intervention. The government believes that by making smoking difficult, they are encouraging people to quit and leading to a healthier population. So, if you're a smoker visiting Singapore, be sure to check the rules before lighting up. It might save you a fine and your health. And remember, in Singapore, the only thing that should be smoking is the food. Strange law number 11. Vandalism? Get ready for a caning. In Singapore, vandalism is a serious crime, and the penalties are severe. Get caught spray painting graffiti or defacing public property, and you could be looking at a fine, jail time, and even caning. This law was introduced in the 1960s as part of Singapore's broader efforts to maintain public order and cleanliness. The government wanted to send a clear message that vandalism would not be tolerated in any form. Caning, a form of corporal punishment, is one of the most controversial aspects of this law. Offenders can be sentenced to receive several strokes of the cane, a punishment that is both painful and humiliating. The law applies to a wide range of acts, including graffiti, defacing public property, and even sticking unauthorized posters or stickers in public places. The goal is to maintain the city's pristine appearance and deter others from committing similar acts. Singapore's strict enforcement of this law has made vandalism a rare occurrence in the city. Public spaces are well maintained, and graffiti is almost non-existent, thanks to the government's tough stance. The law has attracted international attention, particularly in cases involving foreign nationals who were caught vandalizing public property. These cases often spark debates about the severity of the punishment and Singapore's approach to law and order. Despite the controversy, the law remains in place and is strictly enforced. The government believes that harsh penalties are necessary to deter vandalism and maintain the city's reputation as a clean and orderly place. The law is also part of Singapore's broader approach to crime prevention, which emphasizes deterrence through tough penalties. The government believes that by making an example of offenders, they can prevent future crimes. Visitors to Singapore are often shocked by the severity of the punishment for vandalism, but most quickly learn to appreciate the clean and well-maintained public spaces. The law is a key reason why Singapore is known for its immaculate appearance. So, if you're in Singapore and feel the urge to leave your mark on the city, think again. Vandalism here is no joke, and the consequences are severe. It's best to admire the city's beauty without adding your own touch, unless you want to see the inside of a Singaporean jail.